cautious, says Canada's Prime Minister.
May Davila in Ciudad de Panama.
Class and television for primary students begin in Panama.
Navy Dueñas in Ciudad de Guatemala.
Social programs begin in Guatemala as part of financial recovery plan.
Arnold Ramos in Washington, D.C.
White House not immune to COVID-19. And DC Mayor showcases an alternate care site.
Mayan Manzano Guerzon in Siquirville.
New Jersey opens 2 new American Red Cross convalescent plasma collection sites.
Joanne Blanco Soriano in New York, New York.
3 regions ready to begin reopening May 15th.
Claudine Kadai in Kissimmee.
Governor DeSantis honors Florida nurses, declares May Nurses Month.
Jane Catherine Gregorio in Houston, Texas.
Houston Mayor announced a citywide celebration for 2020 high school seniors.
Emerson Simon in Sylmar, California.
Archer LA teams up with local artists to paint boards of closed doors.
And Michael Hudson in Seattle reports about the Governor Inslee's announcement on the reopening of retail stores, public parks, and golf courses. Plus, tonight we'll meet the host of Daily Insight Home Edition, a show that has just made a comeback on EBC. But first, an overview of how the world looks now. According to the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University in Medicine, as of 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday, May 11, 2020, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide is now more than 4,100,000. This includes more than 1,300,000 in the U.S. and more than 71,000 in Canada. Sadly, the virus has claimed more than 284,000 lives worldwide. The number includes more than 80,000 deaths in the U.S. and more than 5,000 in Canada. Our coverage begins now. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says, quote, "Go slow, be cautious." Thomas Likeness in Edmonton has a story.
Good evening, Ken. Across Canada, provinces are beginning to ease restrictions as the number of new COVID-19 cases begins to drop. Now, the measures vary with region, but in the province with the most cases, the province with the most deaths, elementary schools and daycares are reopening this week. Retail shops are reopening. And these restrictions are being lifted in all areas of that province, namely Quebec, except Montreal. Now, Montreal is the epicenter of the pandemic in Canada. It's like New York in the United States. Montreal is where most of the deaths have occurred. There, the reopening has been delayed until May 25th, but they're still thinking of going ahead. The province's premier, Francois Legault, says he's concerned about Montreal. He says outside, things are under control. He describes the situation in Montreal, and these are his words, worrisome. Our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, is originally from Montreal, and he too is concerned. He's recommending caution, not only if you live in Quebec, but also other regions where the pandemic has had a lesser effect.
As we continue to work on plans to reopen, I want to say this. Please let caution and medical advice be your guides. We are all anxious to see life go back to something that looks more like normal. But we're not out of the woods yet, and we cannot squander the sacrifices we've made over the past 2 months. So when in doubt, if you can, stay home. Avoid gatherings. Wash your hands frequently and thoroughly, and maintain 2 meters distance from everyone else. This is how we will keep fellow Canadians who can't stay home and those working on the front lines safe.
Basically, what he's saying is we shouldn't kid ourselves that this is nearly over, that we'll have these large gatherings this summer. Oh, the sports stadiums, are they going to be full? I don't think so, not going to happen. The sad reality is we've only slowed the spread of the virus. We have no treatment. There's no magic bullet. There's no cure. We can only treat the symptoms, and hopefully the symptoms aren't so bad that they are treatable. We have immunity. There's no vaccine. The virus is still with us. And sadly, that virus is looking for new places to infect. You know, even in my province, we have people protesting, upset the government isn't moving fast enough. And the sad thing is these people feel, well, I didn't get sick, so nobody else will probably get sick. Well, at least in Alberta, we respect free speech, freedom of opinion, and our Chief Medical Health Officer, Dr. Dina Hinshaw, she says, protest if you like, but do it safely.
I understand that yesterday, some were expressing their perspective at the Alberta Legislature grounds. And I want to emphasize that while public health orders are in place to protect Albertans, there is still room within to practice peaceful protest. Individuals who are respecting physical distancing guidelines are able to peacefully protest in outdoor public venues.
So we wait and see, and we hope there isn't a second wave this fall. I want to update you on the COVID-19 outbreak at the Cargill meat processing plant in High River in southern Alberta. A second worker died over the weekend. This worker fell ill last month. Now, you'll recall that more than 950 of the 2,000 workers at the plant were infected. It's the largest outbreak to have occurred at a single location, and I believe the largest outbreak in North America. A third person, the father of a worker at the plant, had died last week. About half the workforce comes from High River's Filipino community. The plant was shut down for 14 days and reopened a week ago. For all of you, I wish you all good health. Take care of others. Take care of yourself. Keep your distance. Stay home, stay safe, and stay tuned to Eagle News for accurate and balanced coverage of the COVID-19 pandemic. In Edmonton, Canada, Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Appreciate it, Tom. So, a Business Insider published an article today that said that at least 4,500 Tyson workers have caught COVID-19 with 18 deaths. The meat giant still doesn't offer its workers paid sick leave, but the industry blames the workers for the outbreaks. Is this similar to how the situation is within the industry there in Canada?
It's a little different up here. The union contract they have up here, they're allowed 14 days of paid leave for COVID-19. And beyond that, they wouldn't be getting anything from Cargill. But the federal government has an emergency relief benefit for people who have been laid off due to COVID-19 or perhaps ill and have no other sick benefits. That only gives them $2,000 a month. But, you know, it's certainly better than nothing. But as far as blaming workers for it up here, no, Cargill hasn't done anything like that. They're the big employer up here. We've got JBS as well. Tyson, I believe, sold their plant to Cargill up here, so they don't have a presence up here right now. One other difference is I understand your president down there declared the meat processing industry as essential and basically orders people to work whether they want to go or not.
Correct. So is that the situation over there also in Canada? Like, how does Trudeau treat the meat working industry?
Well, we would have to basically bring in the Emergency Measures Act to implement something like that, and that would have to be debated by all of Parliament. The Prime Minister on his own could not order that.
Quite a different situation there in Canada.
Very different.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, Ken.
Classes on television for primary students begin in Panama. May Davila in Ciudad de Panama reports.
Hola, Ken. Classes on television for primary students begin in Panama. Starting this Monday, May 11, teachers will conduct classes on television for students from 1st to 6th grade of primary school. As part of the initiative entitled Conéctate con la Estrella, an alliance between the Ministry of Education and the media to offer students an educational alternative during the COVID-19 pandemic. From Monday to Friday at 9 to 11 in the morning through State Radio and Television System, or CERT-TV, students from different schools throughout the country will be able to listen and observe the classes and put into practice the tasks assigned to them by their teacher, corresponding to the national curriculum. These classes will also be broadcasted by RPC and FETV from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and Biosana Vision from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Spanish classes will be held every Monday, mathematics Tuesdays, social sciences Wednesdays, and natural sciences Thursdays. On Fridays, there will be games and rounds with a preschool teacher. In addition to the presentation of children's readings of poly storytelling and chapters of Sesame Street with advices for children on how to avoid the coronavirus. Conectate con La Estrella will also be communicating and translating into Panamanian Sign Language through another program named La Estrella se conecta con la Universidad, which aims to provide resources that allow every student to carry out their activities and learn in equal opportunities. The classes for pre-kinder and kinder will be incorporated next Monday, May 18, on the screens of TV Max and Star TV. For students who can only connect through radio stations, classes for preschool and primary have been transmitted through RPC Radio and Radio Panama since last week. And starting this week, will also be broadcasted in Nacional FM, Crisol FM, and Radio Nacional AM. This initiative is accompanied by the printing of 425,000 modules for students and the continuous communication between teachers and students through video calls from WhatsApp, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, emails, and other instant messaging systems under the supervision of the school directors and the regional directorates of education. This is the Panama government's way of exhausting every option to provide students with all educational alternatives in times of COVID-19. Desde Ciudad de Panama, May Davila, Eagle News. Vivimos en tiempos interesantes.
Gracias, May. So you're a mother of three, two of which are actually in school. How are they adjusting to the distance learning?
Well, actually, they were having a bit of a hard time adjusting to homeschooling. The kids find it hard to follow a regular schedule for studying because they always get distracted with a lot of things inside the house, especially with their very playful little sister. So these classes on TV proves to be a good help for them. It started this morning, and me and my son, who's in the 5th grade, watched it. And the teacher's way of lecturing was very interesting. And though it was only for 1 hour, she was able to teach clearly the topic about non-verbal and non-verbal communication in Spanish. And after that, my son was able to answer all the questions and activities on his modules about that topic easily.
That's awesome, May. Well, best of luck being a secondary teacher over there.
Thank you.
Thanks. Take care. Several social programs begin in Guatemala as part of a financial recovery plan. Eagle News correspondent Nadine Dueñas in Ciudad de Guatemala has the details.
Hola, Ken. So during the weekly speech of President Giammattei yesterday, May 10, he assured that various social programs came into effect, such as the payment this weekend to the first beneficiaries of the Bono Family program, the subsidy for the payment of the weekend of the electricity, the payment to the workers who were suspended, and the distribution of care packages to kids in schools around the country through the Parents Association. There's a total of 13 billion quetzales destined to financial support, which is divided into 10 social programs, which are the following. 1, the Caja Saldremos Adelante, or the care packages. 2, Alimentación Escolar, or school feeding. 3, Fondo de Crédito Capital de Trabajo, or Working Capital Credit Fund. 4, Fondo de Protección de Empleo, or Employment Protection Fund. 5, Bono de Riesgo para Personal de Salud, Risk Fund for Health Personnel. 6, Apoyo al Comercio Popular, or Support for Popular Trade. 7, Dotación Alimentaria, or Food Allowance. 8, Adulto Mayor, or Senior Citizen. 9, Subsidio Electricidad, or Electricity Subsidy. And 10, Bono Familia, Family Bond. During the same speech, President Giammattei also emphasized that it takes time to implement a social program because from the time the funds are approved, there are procedures and formalities they must comply. And there is also into the Familia, wherein each person who will subscribe to this program involves 8 different databases for them to receive the help they applied for. Also, the first social program implemented is the Fondo de Protección al Empleado. Guatemala's Ministry of Economy, MINECO, signed an agreement last Tuesday, May 5, with the Crédito Hipotecario Nacional, CHN, to allow the transfer of the funds assigned to MINECO by the Ministry of Public Finances, making the resources available to start paying the first beneficiaries of the Fondo de Protección al Empleo. The beneficiaries will be transferred the amount of 75 quetzales daily, summing up to 2,250 quetzales monthly, equivalent to around $280 monthly. Also, the Minister of Economy, Antonio Malof, said the first workers that will benefit are the ones that were suspended until April 15. For the second half of the month of April, the company must enter into the webpage of MINECO again on the first working day of the month and confirm that the workers continue suspended so that at the same time they would be paid during the first half of May. On the other hand, in order to inform the citizens on how they can benefit from the Bono Familiar program and the subsidy for electricity, government officials are going house to house to teach them the ways they can apply to these programs. Last week, they started with the Departamento of Guatemala. To the date, there are 1,052 COVID-19 cases, 914 active cases, 110 recovered, 26, and unfortunately, 26 deaths. In Ciudad de Guatemala, Nadine Dueñas, Eagle News, vivimos en tiempos interesantes.
Gracias, Nadine. So aside from these social programs, are there any other actions in the government's taking to help the citizens cope financially?
Yes, actually, the government made agreements with the heads and presidents of the basic services such as the gas, electrical, water, and the telecommunications, with whom they agreed to not cut the services during the months of May, June, and July, and also to allow the citizens who don't have the means to pay their bills to pay them later on.
Appreciate the information and the report. Thank you, Nadine. Take care. When we come back, more COVID-19 updates from our Eagle News correspondents. We'll return shortly. Stay with us.
This program is presented by SMC Infrastructure, building a better world. Sanmig sugar-free white coffee. Puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na. Sanmig sugar-free white coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free. Vet-approved NutriChunks, the only premium dog food with active boost for optimum energy and prebiotics that help strengthen immunity. Just like Catherine Bernardo, gawing listo ganado ang fur babies nyo. Listo ganado sa NutriChunks. Co-presented by Kubert, expert in air conditioning and electromechanical. Also engaged in structural, electrical, fire protection, plumbing, and sanitary services. Kubert, your ultimate MEPS and air conditioning solutions. Vita Herbs Philippines Green Coffee. Masarap, mabango, at healthy pa. Canrib Corporation, your ventilation and air conditioning specialist. New San Jose Builders Incorporated. Unlad Incorporated International, fight against global poverty. In participation with Rain or Shine Elastomeric Waterproofing Paint. Colorful protection for your home. Matimco. Matimco is wood. Wood is Matimco. R Square Variables Incorporated, your trusted UPS supplier and UPS maintenance provider in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. CompuZell Computer Services, ID card and lanyard manufacturer. Saisho International Trading Corporation. DN Steel. EMAT UPVC Roof Corporation.
Hey, Aggression Ho here, and I'm a white coffee lover. Creamy kasi, and very yummy. Pero mas masarap kung hindi nakaka-guilty. Check my new discovery, Sanmig Sugar-Free White Coffee. Puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na! Sanmig Sugar-Free White Coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free.
The successful development of TPLEX, or Tarlac Pangasinan La Union Expressway in 2009, a 4-lane toll road that extends from Tarlac City to Rosario La Union, with an additional approved extension of 56 kilometers all the way to San Juan La Union. This is expected to reduce travel time to Baguio and other provinces in northern Luzon. Realizing the vision of creating a better world for Filipinos fueled the team's focus.
Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved Nutri-Chunks with active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat, with essential nutrients to help them grow healthy and happy. Listo, ganado sa Nutri-Chunks.
Ikaw lang ang star ng buhay ko. Para sa akin, perfect ka. Ibang klase ang sarap ng corned beef mo. Ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Pag Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, sarap ng corned beef, inangat pa ng real cheese cubes. Kaya perfect ang sarap. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef.
Welcome back. You're watching Eagle News. I'm Ken Cruz here in Port Washington. The White House is not immune to COVID-19, and DC Mayor showcases an alternate care site. Emeline Ramos in Washington, D.C. has the details.
Thank you, Ken. Well, when you think of the White House, you see in your mind that famous landmark and what it represents. It represents strength, power, and serves as a beacon of hope. You always view the White House as being impenetrable, but even the White House is not immune to this pandemic. Just this past week, it has been reported that officials from the White House have tested positive for COVID-19. Amongst those who tested positive are Vice President Mike Pence's spokeswoman and the personal valet of President Donald Trump. It has also been reported that 3 members of the coronavirus task force have self-quarantined themselves after a possible exposure to the virus. Included in those who are self-quarantining themselves are Robert Redfield, the Director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Stephen Hahn, the Commissioner of the Food and Drug Administration, and most notably, the top infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci. It is a little bit scary that those who are leading the fight against this pandemic have possibly been exposed to the virus and could be tested positive. Let's hope that they have not contracted the disease and are negative so that they can continue their important work and continue to lead the entire country against COVID-19. As you can see with the pictures, those are White House staffers now requiring to wear masks before they can really go inside the White House. So as we continue to move forward, talks of reopening continue to dominate the discussion in Washington, D.C. and around the country. Protests continue in various states demanding that their state government begin reopening their economies. Some states have already begun reopening, but not all state and local governments are in a hurry to fully reopen. Some states and cities have not yet reached their peak, as the data would suggest, and so, although they are hoping for the best, they are still preparing for the worst. This can be seen just here in the district. The total number of COVID-19 positive cases are now at 6,389, with 328 lives lost all in all. According to the Office of Mayor Muriel Bowser of Washington, D.C., they have converted the Walter E. Convention Center into an alternate care site to support a medical surge should the need arise. Mayor Bowser said, as I quote, "Our hope is that as Washingtonians continue working together to blunt the spread of COVID-19, we never get to the point of needing to use this site. But if we end up needing additional hospital capacity, these beds are here and ready for patients." You know, it's easy to let our guard down, especially now that they've been stuck at home for many weeks and it's getting warmer outside. And you hear many discussions of reopening. But just like what we've seen from what is being done in DC, we need to remain vigilant. Not all cities can say that the worst is over. We have to always be aware and continue to get guidance from our local and state officials so we know what to expect. In Washington, D.C., I'm Malin Bandak Ramos, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ken.
Appreciate that, Emmeline. So you mentioned something about the Walter E. Washington Convention Center. Can you describe the facility and how they were able to convert it to accommodate the medical surge?
Yes, Ken, the Walter E. Convention Center is a huge, beautiful facility located in the heart of downtown DC. According to their website, it opened in 2003 and has 703,000 total square feet of exhibit space. And there are 77 individual or customizable meeting rooms, and it can accommodate up to 42,000 attendees for any given event. Many events have taken place here, such as the 57th Presidential Inauguration Balls, the USA Science and Engineering Festival, and the Nuclear Security Summit was also held here. It was not an easy task to get this conversation. Mayor Bowser said, as I quote, "We are grateful for all of our local and federal partners who worked quickly to get this site ready to go in just a few weeks. And we are very grateful for all the people in our community who are making sacrifices and doing their part to save lives and keep our city safe and healthy." Though this was an amazing achievement, I hope that we never have to use this facility. Ken?
Yeah, I actually covered the DC Auto Show that was held at the Washington, that convention center. That place is massive. So I'm sure that it's able to house as many people as needed, but let's hope that it doesn't require the whole thing, because that you can spend your entire day just walking the thing. But appreciate the info. Thank you so much, Emmeline. Take care.
Thank you.
So New Jersey opens 2 new American Red Cross convalescent plasma collection sites. Mayan Manzano Guerzon in Siglerville reports.
Thank you, Ken. Let's begin with New Jersey's latest numbers of COVID-19 related cases. Total number of New Jerseyans tested positive, 139,945. New positive cases reported today, 1,453. New number of deaths is 59, and New Jersey's total fatalities is 9,310. Despite these big numbers, data shows that there is a slower rate of spread across the state, and the number of patients being treated at the hospitals across New Jersey dropped by 430 from where it was during the weekend. The per capita rate of hospitalizations regionally continues on downward trend as well, and today there was a total of 666 discharged from hospitalization. Now onto the headlines. Governor Phil Murphy, alongside Rosie Taravella, Chief Executive Officer of the American Red Cross New Jersey Region, and Sherif El Nahal, President and Chief Executive Officer of University Hospital, announced today the 2 new American Red Cross convalescent plasma collection sites in northern New Jersey. Convalescent plasma collection will begin at the American Red Cross Blood Center in Fairfield and University Hospital in Newark today, May 11th. In late March, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, announced a new initiative to collect plasma from those who have recovered from novel coronavirus to treat patients with serious or immediate life-threatening COVID-19 infections. This therapy uses the blood plasma from patients who have recovered from COVID-19 to treat new patients who are severely ill with the virus. The blood plasma from recovered patients contains antibodies that may help critically ill patients fight the virus. Historically, convalescent plasma has been used as a potential life-saving treatment in situations when new diseases or infections develop quickly and no treatments or vaccines were available yet. The American Red Cross joined the FDA's effort to support the collection and distribution of convalescent plasma. Together, they have worked around the clock to put this new initiative in place by establishing a process to identify, qualify, and collect convalescent plasma safely from recovered COVID-19 individuals at both Red Cross and other local blood collection organizations around the country. Meanwhile, Ken, we celebrated the National Nurses Day on May 6, and we here in Eagle Broadcasting Corporation support frontline healthcare workers. Today, in his daily COVID-19 press briefing, Governor Murphy remembered and recognized Tom Luna, one of the nurses that we have lost due to COVID-19. Murphy said, and I quote, "Felicissimo Luna, known to many as Tom, was one of our frontline heroes, a nurse in the emergency department in Trinitas Regional Medical Center in Elizabeth, where he kept helping out those who needed him until he fell ill. Tom was just 62 years old. Tom, we take our hat off to you for your years of service to the people in your care. May your memory bring peace to Kitty and your daughters. God bless you, pal." End quote. Tom was also a faithful and active member of the Iglesia ni Cristo Church of Christ. He was a finance officer and deacon in the local congregation of Elizabeth, and later a head deacon in the local congregation of North New Jersey District of New Jersey. In Sicklerville, New Jersey, Mayan Manzano Garzon, Eagle News. We lived in interesting times.
Thanks, man. Condolences to Tom's family. Question for you. How can one qualify to be a potential plasma donor, and where can they register to donate?
Yes, Ken. Eligible individuals must be fully recovered from COVID-19 and symptom-free, and must otherwise meet regular blood donation eligibility criteria. Individuals who are able to donate are encouraged to register at either redcrossblood.org/plasma for COVID or uhnj.org, and the phone number is 973-972-5474. Ken?
Appreciate the info, Mayan. Thank you so much for the report. Take care. The 3 regions are ready to begin reopening on May 15th. Eagle News correspondent Joanne Soriano in New York has the details.
Thank you, Ken. May 15th is the end of the statewide closure. The question now shifts more towards localities and regions across the states to make sure they are in a position to open, and this is called the New York Forward Reopening Plan. In summary, New York is divided into 10 regions, and in order to reopen, a region must meet 7 metrics, which are 1. A decline in total hospitalizations, 2. Decline in deaths, 3. New hospitalizations, 4. Hospital bed capacity, 5. ICU bed capacity, 6. Diagnostic testing capacity, and 7. Contact tracing capacity. 3 regions so far, the Finger Lakes, Southern Tier, and Mohawk Valley regions have met all 7 metrics required to begin phase 1 of the reopening plan when New York State on pause expires. If the trend continues, starting on May 15th, these 3 regions can begin opening businesses for phase 1, which includes construction, manufacturing, and wholesale supply chain, retail for curbside pickup and drop-off or in-store pickup, and agriculture, forestry, and fishing. 2 more regions have met 6 of the 7 metrics and could be open at the end of the week. New York City has only met 4 of the 7 metrics and is expected to be the last part of New York to open. Governor Cuomo said, "As we approach May 15, we have put regional control rooms in place, which are made up of the top government officials and academic and healthcare professionals in that region, to watch the situation in each region develop and increase or decrease the activity and speed of reopening based on metrics and guidelines. These control rooms are critical because we just made it over the mountain and nobody wants to go back to the other side now." End quote. Certain local businesses and recreational activities will be ready to reopen statewide on May 15th, including landscaping and gardening businesses, and recreational activities such as tennis and drive-in movie theaters. For today's numbers, in New York, over 1.2 million people have now been tested for COVID-19, more per capita than any state or country in the globe. Yesterday, 21,000 people were tested and 1,600 were confirmed positive. Overall, 337,000 people have tested positive, and there have been over 21,000 deaths so far. The governor announced that Northwell Health System discharged their 10,000th COVID patient. A hospital worker from Queens, which was the epicenter in New York at one point, also shared a story with me. He said that whenever a COVID patient is discharged, everyone gets a notification on their phone. It plays "Here Comes the Sun," and it alerts employees of the discharge coming from upstairs. And when they get this alert, they all line up in the lobby to cheer and clap when the patient arrives and is there to exit the hospital. So I know we all like to hear good stories like that. In New York, Joanne Soriano, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ken.
I think that's extremely cool that they do the ringtone. I would love to have that on my ringtone just to be in celebration with them too. Joanne, so now that some parts of New York are actually reopening, how New York has been dealing with the 2 months of stay at home?
I think that's a good idea about the ringtone. I think I might copy you and do that, at least during this period. As for your question, actually a good portion of New Yorkers are not even here in the city. They've gone to their other homes or to other family members' homes just to get away from the density of people and not be cooped up in their apartments. For example, in my building, we have to wait for elevators because they'll only allow one person at a time or family unit at a time. So you either have to wait and wait for the next one and line up if there's a crowd. But it hasn't been too busy here, at least in my building. And more people are actually looking to move out of the city. The experience has showed them that they need more space, fresh air, and many jobs have given them the ability to work from home. I think a lot of employers, because they were forced to do this, they realized that it actually does work. I can see telecommuting becoming a very big thing coming up in the future. And as for me, now that drive-in theaters will be opening, I'm going to look for one. I've never been to one before, and I really want to try it out.
Yeah, they're actually amazing. Back then when I was a kid, and they would give you this like radio thing that you would put in your car, so that you'd be able to access the over the radio channel in which you would be able to watch and like listen at the same time. It's very cool, especially if you have like a pickup truck, so that you can watch with the stars up. But I mean, I don't know over there in New York, it's either too hot or too cold, right? So
yeah.
And I'm guessing everyone has the same idea, so it's probably going to be like right next to each other. Because of the lack of space, unless you leave like the heart of New York and go to like Buffalo or something.
I think that's where they'll have to be. We don't have space for drive-ins here in New York itself. It'll have to be further out, so I'll make the drive.
Yeah, or they could just it'll be so unpacked over in the heart of New York that you could probably just put up like a big screen on the walls, and everyone could watch from afar.
I've seen that in summer. People put them on the side of the buildings, and it's really cool.
Well, hoping for the best for New York. Thank you so much for the update, Joanne. Take care.
Thanks, Ken.
Governor Ron DeSantis honors Florida nurses and declares May as Nurses Month. Claudine Kadai in Kissimmee has a story.
Thanks, Ken. Today's COVID-19 cases in Florida reached 41,000 cases. Meanwhile, the appreciation for all of our more than deserving healthcare workers continues to resound throughout Florida as Governor DeSantis declares the month of May as Nurses Month, Appreciation Month in Florida, rather than reserving it just for its first week. He takes to social media attaching the official declaration of Florida Nurses Month, tweeting, quote, "On National Nurses Day, we honor the more than 430,000 licensed registered nurses and practical nurses here in Florida. Our nurses are heroes on the front lines of the COVID-19 pandemic. To that end, I have proclaimed the entire month of May as Florida Nurses Month," end quote. In Kissimmee, Florida, Claudine Kadai, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thanks, Claudine. So for yourself, how personal is it to recognize nurses and what they've been doing for everyone during this pandemic?
Well, as for me, both of my parents are nurses, and I myself am studying to be a nurse, so I realize the struggle firsthand in putting patients first. So I feel that our nurses, doctors, and health professionals alike have sacrificed so much to be on the front lines of this pandemic.
How far are you in your education right now? I'm just curious.
I am entering nursing school. I'm making my own applications.
Wow. Best of luck. And real quick question, does your state allow those that are studying to practice now because of the situation, or is that not the situation there in Florida.
As for the students that are going through clinicals, they have certain restrictions, certain allowances that allow them to practice in the field, but I haven't gotten there yet. So,
well, hopefully when the time comes, you'll be ready. It sounds like it's in your genes. So best of luck to you, buddy.
yes, thank you.
Coming up, more updates from our Eagle News correspondents. Stay with us.
This program is presented by SMC Infrastructure, building a better world. Sanmig Sugar-Free White Coffee, puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na! Sanmig Sugar-Free White Coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free. Vet-approved NutriChunks, the only premium dog food with active boost for optimum energy and prebiotics that help strengthen immunity. Just like Catherine Bernardo, gawing listo ganado ang fur babies nyo. Listo ganado sa NutriChunks. Co-presented by Kubert, expert in air conditioning and electromechanical. Also engaged in structural, electrical, fire protection, plumbing, and sanitary services. Kubert, your ultimate MEPS and air conditioning solutions. Vita Herbs Philippines Green Coffee. Masarap, mabango, at healthy pa. Canrib Corporation, your ventilation and air conditioning specialist. New San Jose Builders Incorporated. Unlad Incorporated International, fight against global poverty. In participation with Rain or Shine Elastomeric Waterproofing Paint. Color for protection for your home. Matimco. Matimco is wood. Wood is Matimco. R Square Variables Incorporated, your trusted UPS supplier and UPS maintenance provider in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. CompuZell Computer Services, ID card and lanyard manufacturer. Saisho International Trading Corporation. DN Steel. EMAC UPVC Roof Corporation.
Hey, Gretchen Ho here, and I'm a white coffee lover. Creamy kasi, and very yummy. Pero mas masarap kung hindi nakaka-guilty. Check my new discovery, Sanmig Sugar-Free White Coffee. Puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na! Sanmig Sugar-Free White Coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free.
Skyway Stages 1 and 2, the elevated toll road system project, run from a section of the South Luzon Expressway from Alabang to Magallanes, Makati. The Skyway Stage 3 is an elevated expressway connecting the South Luzon Expressway through the existing Skyway Stages 1 and 2 to the North Luzon Expressway via Balintawak. Skyway Stage 4 is an 80-kilometer mixed elevated and at-grade toll road that will connect the existing Skyway system starting from the FTI section all the way to Bulacan.
Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved NutriChunks with active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat, with essential nutrients to help them grow healthy and happy. Listo, ganado sa NutriChunks. Bakit natin ipinagluluto ang mga mahal natin? We want them to feel special. Sa meaty luncheon meat that we serve. If your pure intentions had a taste, it would taste like Pure Foods. Pure sarap. Pure Foods luncheon meat.
Welcome back. You're watching Eagle News. I'm Ken Cruz in Fort Washington. Houston Mayor announces a citywide celebration for the 2020 high school seniors. Jane Kathleen Gregorio in Houston reports.
Thank you, Ken, and howdy from the Lone Star State. Here in Houston, this metro area is the largest and most populated in Texas, totaling more than 6.3 million and ranks as the fourth largest city in the United States. And like other urban communities around the globe, Houston is also impacted by the consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic, particularly the poor and underserved neighborhoods that lack access to healthy food, employment, and water and sanitation services. And realizing that a big city like Houston needs a future contingency plan for and against future crisis, as well as rebuilding the current economy, on May 7th, the city of Houston joined a global coalition of cities for a resilient recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. Resilient Houston is a program that will provide a framework for how the city can rebuild together through individual and collective actions, according to Marissa Aho, Chief Resilience Officer. Resilience Houston will be working with the organization Global Resilient Cities Network, GRCN, and it is a city-led organization currently comprised of 98 cities around the world, helping to drive action to protect vulnerable communities from climate change and other physical, social, and economic urban adversities and challenges. And speaking of the future, Ken, high school seniors from the class of 2020 in Houston may be happy to hear that the city is working on a plan for these graduates to celebrate this milestone in their journey, despite schools and school districts being shut down due to the COVID-19 pandemic. On Wednesday, Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner partnered with area school superintendents to announce a special first-of-its-kind outdoor celebration for high school seniors to take place on Friday, June the 5th. Mayor Turner quoted, "This unique class of scholars has persevered through one of the most challenging times in recent history with remarkable resilience. The students have earned their title graduating senior. It is appropriate for the city of Houston to celebrate and honor their achievement in a way that reflects the commonality of this moment and unites our city," end quote. The citywide celebration will take place regardless of how individual school districts may decide to honor their students, and will include graduates from Houston, Aldine, Ali, Spring Branch, and Spring Independent School District, with local television stations broadcasting the event, and will also be streamed on multiple social media platforms. Seniors are invited to assemble at their schools wearing their caps and gowns and facial coverings while adhering to social distancing. Parents, family members, and friends are invited to participate virtually. Now, just a note, the ceremony is not a commencement, and no diplomas will be issued to the student during that event. Meanwhile, the City of Houston Health Department announced that four additional communities that are vulnerable will benefit from easier access to free COVID-19 tests, as the Houston Health Department and its agency partners are now setting up test sites this week. More information can be found at houstonemergency.org/COVID-19. As of right now, a total of 525,697 tests have been conducted in Texas, with a total of 39,869 total confirmed cases, 1,100 fatalities. But, among the total confirmed cases, we have only 17,056 active cases because 21,713 have already recovered. In Houston, Texas, I'm Jane Kathleen Gregorio, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ken.
Appreciate it, Jane Kathleen. So I'm curious, anyone that's going to be graduating this year and attending that, it's not a commencement, celebration?
The celebration, well, I know of some family friends who have children that will be graduating. So as this has been announced just within the past week, we anticipate that many of those students will also take part in this historic citywide celebration, which is the first of its kind.
Oh, well, that sounds like a great idea. And, congratulations to all those graduating there in Houston. Regarding the residents there, if they're looking for information on COVID-19 as far as resources, where can they go to access help?
You know, Ken, actually, the city of Houston and Harris County have been striving to make great efforts in helping residents to get easier access regarding COVID-19 updates and resources. They established a one-stop shop at the website houstonemergency.org/COVID-19. There, users can find things like a Texas Medical Center dashboard with data on the availability of ICU beds, ventilators, PPE, and other pandemic metrics. They can also find an update of the Houston Complete Community's COVID-19 Impact Planning Report. There's also a COVID-19 registry that provides real-time information to health departments on where the spread of COVID-19 is going, who is being affected, and how. And the Houston Health Department has also provided a vulnerability map showing which neighborhoods have COVID-19 cases. And the website also contains information on how to find testing locations and other resources to help the community. Okay.
Sounds like an amazing resource, Jane Kathleen. Appreciate the help. So if you're in H-Town, you know where to go. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ken.
Artshare LA teams up with local artists to paint boards of closed stores. Emerson Simon in Sylmar has a story.
Thank you, Ken. With the current safer at home order that was placed in Los Angeles County, the feeling of the normal everyday hustle and bustle of what many Angelenos are used to have been replaced with boarded up storefronts and closed up shops. From up and coming music artists performing their version of the latest hits on street corners, or the murals and artwork being created throughout the city, these artistic outlets are just a few of what the City of Angels has been missing since this pandemic reached this part of the world. In Los Angeles County, Artshare LA, a nonprofit organization supported by grant programs from LA County Arts, has teamed up with 10 local Los Angeles artists to provide them with an additional platform to showcase their talents on the boarded up storefronts, to show Angelenos that despite the current circumstances we may all be facing, we can still see the beauty of our city can provide to all of us. Artshare LA's goal is to raise $20,000 to be used in painting 500 boards throughout the city of Los Angeles. These proceeds will be used for the materials needed to create beautiful artwork throughout the city, while providing the 10 local artists with a means of income, since many of them have been impacted with the pandemic situation. One artistic piece that was created by wordsmith read, "When the dust settles, we will forever know we will forever know who we love, what we need, and where we truly want to be." Wait for it. Artistic murals and artwork like this created throughout the city of Los Angeles shows Angelenos that our current situation is temporary. It provides everyone with a sense of hope, assuring that health conditions will get better in time, allowing LA residents to return to society and to our new normal. In Los Angeles County, the total number of confirmed cases is 32,258 with 1,569 deaths, as announced today by the Los Angeles Public Health Department. Meanwhile, the state California now has 68,782 confirmed COVID-19 cases, and 2,763 deaths are recorded by the Johns Hopkins University and Medicine Coronavirus Resource Center. In Sylmar, California, Emerson Simon, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thanks, Emerson. So I know it's maybe challenging, just given the current circumstance, but have you been able to see any of this artwork outside?
No, but I'm hoping to change that, because the thought of checking out a makeshift outdoor art gallery is very appealing.
Hey, if you do, make sure to take a picture and then send it to EBC, man. Appreciate it, Emerson.
You got it. Thank you.
Governor Jay Inslee announces the reopening of retail stores, public parks, and of golf courses. Michael Hudson in Seattle has the details.
Hey, thanks a lot. Before we go into the main story tonight, I wanted to share with you some current numbers when it comes to the COVID-19 infection. According to the State Department of Health, as of today, there are 16,891 positive cases with 931 total deaths. So with just over 248,000 people in the state taking tests, there is a 6.8% rate of positive cases, which has been lower compared to usual. But the main story tonight is of Governor Jay Inslee announcing that retailers can reopen for curbside pickup orders, as well as major parks and golf courses reopening to the public as well. Of course, safety guidelines still have to be followed, such as social distancing and wearing a mask as much as possible, as well as explaining in language of the safety procedures of the COVID-19 infection. And this is really good news for the many retailer shops because they can now start bringing in revenue to keep their doors open. And with the weather starting to be really nice here, the parks and golf courses couldn't have opened at the perfect time. And you know, as an avid golf player, I'm very happy about this. And playing last week, I spoke to a few players who were extremely happy as well because, you know, they can finally get out of the house and really enjoy the scenery that these places have to offer. So this is just going to be phase one of the 4-phase plan of the state. And hopefully as we continue to flatten the curve, we can move on to phase 2 as quickly and as safely as possible. Reporting from Everett, Washington, I'm Michael Hudson, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Mike. Up next, meet the hosts of Daily Insight Home Edition. We'll return shortly. This is Eagle News. You're watching Eagle News. I'm Ken Cruz in Fort Washington. Produced by Eagle Broadcasting Corporation, Daily Insight Home Edition is a 30-minute online show that's a source of news in business and technology, inspirational stories behind small and medium enterprises, and useful advice on starting your own business. The light yet informative discussions with our guests are sure to feed the viewers with tips on how to manage their businesses in these interesting times. Joining us this evening are the hosts of Daily Insight Home Edition. Thank you for being here, Mayanne Manzano-Guarzon in Sicklerville, New Jersey, and Randy Bernardillo in Las Vegas, Nevada. Welcome, guys.
Thank you, Ken, for having us.
Long time no see, man. Maybe like 10 minutes ago. You started Daily Insight in 2016 when Facebook Live was beginning to gain popularity. Randy, tell us more about that, the origins.
Well, FB Live, it was a very new platform for us that we weren't really familiar with. At the time, FB Live wasn't really a source for shows, but EBC was one of the first networks to start using FB Live regularly, especially in reporting breaking news. Plus, people were starting to use social media as the source for their news. So that's how the idea came about of putting Daily Insight on FB Live. We could reach a larger audience of people, we could connect with them, especially through the live comments. This was useful for people who had questions for our guests who are small and medium business owners. They could ask how to start a business, where to apply for a business license, and they'd have all those questions answered on the spot while they were viewing.
Well, I'm curious. I know that, just based off of my friends list, the Philippines viewers are very heavy on Facebook. I'm guessing that was the case also for Facebook Live. Is that right, Randy?
Yes, a lot of Filipinos use Facebook more than any other social media platform. It's built usually into their phone service plans, and so a lot of it is free data. And so that's where they get their news, not the other big networks.
I found out the secret. I always wondered. I was like, internet is at a premium over in the Philippines. How are these guys always on Facebook?
Yes.
Now I know. So the show, it's a business show, and it's friendly to small and medium-sized businesses. Man, how'd your show become the talk of the town among young entrepreneurs?
Yes, Ken, we got lucky. Our very first guests were members of the Young Entrepreneur Society in the Philippines. So from there, they basically connected us with their friends and other business owners until we became a part of a larger network of young entrepreneurs. So it was like a networking. So one guest would have more young entrepreneur friends that would connect us to, and then they would be our next guests for our next episodes.
So it's literally not what you know, but who you know, right? In this case, right?
Yes.
And it seems like you guys know a lot of people who know a lot of people. So season 1 had 100 episodes. Randy, tell us about the 100-episode journey.
It was tough. If I could summarize it into just one word, Mayan and I, we started from scratch. So we would write the scripts for every episode. We contacted all of the guests. It was a team of 2 people, and it's still a team of 2. It's been a long journey, but it's something that we've adapted to and really grown to love.
Yeah, so I mean, what's a specific situation during the first 100 that you remember? You're just like, man, this is challenging. I don't know how we're going to do this, but you were able to do it.
Our first celebrity guest that we had was Anthony Taberna. He's a news anchor, and we interviewed him at his restaurant because he's also an entrepreneur and in the restaurant business. And just being in the presence of someone who is professional in the news industry, I got kind of starstruck, and so I was just like looking with fan eyes there.
Do you remember what episode that was? So that if we want to just look it up and see how nervous you were, we can do that.
No. But if you do wanted to look it up, it's on Eagle News Facebook page.
Perfect. All right. So for all the fans watching there, you know where to see Randy at his best. So now that you guys are back on EBC as Daily Insight Home Edition, Mayan, what can your viewers expect from this new season?
Well, yes, Ken, for this new season, this is, we are going international. Before, our guests were all based in the Philippines because that's where our studio was, in EBC Maine. But now with the home edition, where our homes are our studios, we can interview entrepreneurs from all over the world. This will be very helpful for our viewers who are watching from different countries, and they can be able to relate to the stories and experiences that our guests share on the show.
Well, I'm curious, what's the biggest difference so far with entrepreneurs based in the Philippines and entrepreneurs that are global?
Well, entrepreneurs based in the Philippines, the young entrepreneurs who were mostly our guests, they were very small, and the market was very specific to the area where they're from. Now that we are meeting, interviewing business owners here abroad, it seems like their network is bigger, and now that online business is more, or e-commerce is more prevalent, it's now bigger because they can reach to more customers and more followers as well.
Interesting. Randy, so who do you invite as resource persons for the show, and why these people?
We usually invite small business owners to share their advice as to how they started. A lot of our viewers want to put up their own businesses, but they don't really know where to begin. So through our interviews, our viewers get to hear tips that have worked for other entrepreneurs. And we also invite other professionals who are knowledgeable in their field. We've had accountants, psychologists, real estate brokers, really people from many different industries. So some of our viewers who are looking for career advancement, these interviews showcase the resources that are available to them.
Awesome. And during this time of the pandemic, man, how does the show Daily Insight play a part in contributing to the fight against COVID-19?
That's a great question, Ken. Right now, entrepreneurs and professionals are struggling as a result of the pandemic. Their businesses are taking a hit from the economic downturn. Now, Daily Insight will keep them informed of the latest business news and developments to help them, in a way, recover. And also, our guests, Ken, are experiencing the same thing. They are in the same situation. We all are. So when we share the stories of our guests, we hope to inspire our viewers that there is a community out there that is willing and want to help them.
So, yeah, so follow-up question to earlier. I know I asked Randy what was the most challenging time for you in the initial 100 episodes. How about yourself? What's been the most challenging or memorable situation that you've been in while filming this show?
Well, Ken, I would say, one of my most memorable experiences also that episode with Katuning or Anthony Taberna. But in general, the most challenging part is when we guest someone who's into a business that we don't really or we're not really familiar with. But sometimes we need to research on that kind of business so that our questions, the guests, would really make sense. So, it's tough because we're not business students. We were in law school during that time when we were doing the first episode or first season of Daily Insight. So when for example, when a guest would talk about the cryptocurrency, stock market, we would just really need to study before that.
Well, you just gotta let the pros be pros, right? And I understand that 100%. And you guys, being pros, have been doing it very well. What do you look forward to as far as filming this new season, this home edition of the show, Mayan and or Randy?
Randy?
Well, I think so far we've only aired maybe 5 episodes, but to see the people that we've already touched, after watching some of the videos, people have already contacted us directly, for example, about managing anxiety while working at home. That's something that a lot of people are facing. And to know that the show that we do, the interviews that we have, has a positive effect on people is so rewarding and so beneficial for us. And we're all the more encouraged to do this show.
Speaking of encouragement and rewards, what's your insight for the day, Randy?
My insight is something that everyone can do. It is to get physical exercise. So right now in quarantine, we might be sedentary at home. Personally, I've been doing a lot of walking. The other day, I think I walked 10 miles. So I realized that I actually get my best ideas when I go out for a walk. So maybe, I don't know, maybe it's the blood that goes to my brain that gets the wheels turning in my head. I don't know. So my insight for entrepreneurs who are brainstorming is to go out for a walk. Who knows? Maybe that's where you'll get your next big idea.
I think that blood rush might be the 120-degree weather over there in Vegas. So you might want to make sure that you're well hydrated.
I usually do my walks now on the treadmill with the AC.
All right. Well, it makes sense. I mean, I would not step outside either way. So if I were in your shoes. So for our viewers, Mayan, please tell us when and where we can see your show. Give us the plug.
Yes, and for Daily Insight Home Edition, please tune in to Eagle News YouTube channel every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 in the morning Eastern Time.
Awesome. And then before we leave, what's the next episode that we can expect?
The next episode is about a special education teacher and how she's adjusting to distance learning. So stay tuned for that on Wednesday morning.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having us, Ken.
Yeah, and I'll look for that awesome episode.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care, guys. So Eagle Broadcasting Corporation invites you to our 52nd anniversary event, Enjoy Music Beyond the Crisis. It's an online concert that's streamed in the last 3 Sundays and will happen again on May the 17th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Philippine time. It's an e-concert for a cause streamed on all EDC social media channels to help our frontliners, healthcare workers, and the communities affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. A few reminders before we end today. Wash your hands often with soap and water. Cover your mouth and nose if sneezing or coughing. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Avoid contact with sick people. If you're sick, stay home and call your healthcare provider. Practice social distancing. Keep distance between yourself and others and avoid crowds. Wear a protective face covering when out in public. Let's continue to thank our frontline and essential workers with a round of applause. We appreciate you. And that's it for today's EBC International coverage of coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ken Cruz. We live in interesting times.